everyone. This is update for October 25, 2024, day 975 of the war and of the date update. Also catch up for October 24 and 23. So as you can see, I'm going to start very quickly with update on the situation in the Near East and specifically Iran and Israel. So there is just news coming that Israel just completed its attack on Iran, and mostly the targets were rocket production sites and some anti-air defense systems. So it's not sort of what it was feared that this is major escalation. It does look very much like just a slap on the hand and just saving the face, and that's it. This is most likely scenario. If I would say there is sort of more negative scenario, would it be that this was just the first wave to suppress anti-air system defenses and limit ability to produce generally rockets, missiles of all kinds. It doesn't look like that's that's a main scenario, most likely scenario, but so far it does seem that this, in some ways, I would say de-escalating. There is a path to de-escalation with all of this, but the problem is not resolved because Iranian proxies are obviously in Lebanon, Syria, and Gaza, and I don't think things change in major way. So the problem is definitely not resolved in a major way. I would say just more like a band-aid for now, and it will continue as this has been going on for a long time. Now I'm going to switch to situation update on the situation in Ukraine. I'm gonna do it I'm gonna do a walkthrough in a clockwise fashion, the way I always do, and then I'm gonna discuss at length specific developments on certain section of the front line, where as a summary, things are becoming ever worse and more catastrophic for Ukrainian defenses, pretty much across the entire front line. But there are certain areas where where situation is outright disastrous in my view. So first, let's jump to the situation in the Kursk region of Russia, where there was a Ukrainian incursion that essentially at this point getting localized, and Ukrainian forces are on retreat. So what the Russian president stated is that he claims that Russian forces encircled some Ukrainian troops in this area north of this bottleneck. He claims it's 2,000 strong. It's very unlikely because the number of Russian troops on the front line there is simply not enough to make effective encirclement of such large group of troops. At best, I would say it's probably somewhere between 200 to 300 soldiers at best. If this is the case, but unfortunately, there's essentially no objective information from this section of the front line. I would say that the key point is Ukraine is losing ground, and it's just a question of time before this sort of Ukrainian bridgehead is going to be eliminated by Russia over there. Now let's move to the situation northeast of Kharkiv. Things here are on pause. I would say quiet. Nothing is happening for a very simple reason because both sides don't have enough resources to have engaged in active fighting also on this section of the front line. Now let's look at the situation on the North Lugansk front line, where Russian troops are actively pushing to or creating foundation to capture Kupiansk. So far, no major collapses in Ukrainian front line here, which is already, I would say, great news these days, because essentially pretty much everywhere there is some major problems developing for Ukrainian defenses. But so far, no major collapse here. Now let's look at the situation on the North Donbass front line. The northern section remains more or less stable. No major, again, problems for Ukrainian forces here, and no major Russian attacks here either. In the southern sector, Russian troops continuing their push south of Chasiv. They attempt also to maintain pressure north, but so far Ukrainian front lines held here. That doesn't mean that things are under control. I just want to make it clear. It's more of, at this point, it's sort of, it's I would say, exception that things are holding on, then it's a norm. Now let's look at the central Donbass front line, where things really turning into, I would say, catastrophic. And you can see clearly here from the map that Ukrainian forces essentially lost Selidove. There is no formal announcement, but I think it's going to come in a day or two. Also, Ukrainian forces lost Girnyk, and generally the front line here moved, as you can see, west. There are significant advances, but the most dangerous actually is what's happening here in this sort of crossover between central Donbass and Zaporizhzhia front line, basically between Kurakhove and Velika Novosilka. So Russian troops attacked straight from Zolota Nyva, this village here, and they actually managed to capture Shahtarske. That's another village, sort of on the road straight. At the same time, they managed to advance to Novoukrayinka and to Bogoyavlenka. So it was kind of a coordinated attack. That was, I would say, extremely successful, extremely showing the weakness of Ukrainian defenses, and I would say largely absence of strong Ukrainian defenses. Where, as you can see, this move from Zolota Nyva, it's essentially like 5 kilometers that they managed to cover literally in one day. And this is the situation that was on October 11th, and I just want to show you a little bit what's going on around Selidove. So as you can see, Ukrainian force essentially lost it. Girnyk essentially lost, and as you can, what this also means that this whole area south of Kreminna Balka all the way to Kurakhivka, it's just gonna be lost in fairly quick fashion. Also, the fate of Kurakhove is sealed. It's gonna get lost. Again, just a question of time. And this is sort of bigger picture that I want to go back to what I was discussing, that this is in sort of light yellow line, dash line is original Ukrainian defenses. They were breached pretty much everywhere, and this whole line basically totally collapsed in a major fashion. This is first time, I would say, where I've seen such a major collapse of Ukrainian defenses on a pretty long section of long, significant, I would say, section of the front line. And on the first day of attack, Russian troops managed to advance more than 5 kilometers, capture this village, Shahtarske or Shahtarske. It's unclear. That's why there are so many questions. Basically, Ukrainian forces are scrambling to reestablish new defensive line. There is obviously no prepared defensive positions, and as you can see, it's all open field. So it's very easily can be retreat all the way to this urban area or these villages here, Bogoyavlenka, Andriivka. That's could be another stronghold. At the same time, Russian troops even managed to attack in their flank towards Velika Novosilka, but by I would say pure luck, they were repelled. Otherwise, this whole section collapsed. Russian troops managed to get into southern part of Bogoyavlenka, which also implies that it's probably going to be lost fairly soon. So again, this is just sort of almost like a first step in much larger collapse. And as you can see, this whole move means that Kurakhova is essentially doomed at this point, and this whole section between Velika Novosilka and Kurakhova is collapsing in a major way. I cannot repeat how bad and how dangerous this situation is for Ukrainian forces. Now let's move to Zaporizhzhia, actually, front line. Beyond this sort of collapse that I just explained, the rest of it is fairly quiet. Again, Russian command has full initiative and deciding where they're gonna hit, and where they hit, they are pretty much successful every single time. And for those who knew, the simple explanation is because ordinary Ukrainian soldiers don't have motivation to continue fighting at large. Obviously, there are motivated soldiers. There are people who still want to defend Ukraine, but the problem is within, where there is a political system that makes it sort of undesirable for majority of people to defend it, and that's really the root cause of all of this. What we observing right now on the front line. In the closing, just want to mention a little bit about this speculation about North Korean soldiers on the front line. So far, there is no objective evidence stating that they are somewhere in the Kursk region or anywhere on the front line. They were spotted in the far east of Russia on the training grounds there. At the same time, it's I would say we can speculate quite a bit about what's going to happen next. Russian political top is obviously intentionally vague about this. One saying that sort of say it would be in favor of potential use of North Korean troops is that Russian parliament ratified basically a military pact between North Korea and Russia about mutual defenses. So, which really means that Russian troops will go and help defend North Korea, and the same way North Korea will send troops to help Russia defend itself. From a formal perspective, the fact that Ukrainian troops are in Kursk region of Russia, this allows Russian president, Russian parliament legally, so that could be formally legal, that North Korean troops are going to be fighting in Kursk region of Russia, sort of helping Russia to defend itself. From a purely legal perspective, there is sort of structure that would support that. And given that Russian president is I would say obsessed with sort of formalism and formalizing everything in legal agreements, that would not surprise me that that's possible. At the same time, it's would be very strange approach, given that North Korea soldiers, and they're not gonna change the situation. The situation is pretty bad for Ukraine regardless, and it's just gonna get worse. And at this point, Russian political top seeing this negative developments for Ukraine, their desire is to full capitulation of Ukraine. And essentially, I would say it's not announced, but capturing all of the Ukraine all the way to Romanian and Polish border and whatever Slovakian and Hungarian borders. So essentially, rebuilding what call it Soviet/Russian Empire. That's in a nutshell what is going on. Now let's finish with the section of the along the Dnipro River, and things here are quiet for obvious reasons, because Russian command needs resources in other location and doesn't have enough resources to attack everywhere. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, and until next time, bye bye.